Hello, everyone. Welcome to season 2 of Clarity in Business Growth and Strategy. My name is Lilian Ngirichi, the Clarity Master. I am a strategy and growth consultant and coach. This season, we'll be focusing on our businesses, and we'll have a start with our episode 1, focusing on business health. How do you check the health of your business? So we've defined 7 vitals for you to be able to check your business health. We'll have a look at all of these points and actually relate it to the human body. How do you feel if your body is collapsing or it's not able to function optimally? You need to be able to get to that level with your business, know when it is at optimal, when it is on the verge of collapse, or when it requires some intervention. So we'll start us off with the pulse, which is basically the financial health. Picture this. If your pulse stops working, or if your pulse just stops, what will happen? Your business stops. It's the same case. When we are talking of financial health, we are talking of financial cash health, cash flows. We are talking of profitability. We are talking of gross margins that come into your business. How are your expenses like? What is your sales like? Without cash flow in any business, that means your pulse is stopped. What does that mean? You'll not be able to implement anything for that business. You'll not be able to buy stock. You'll not be able to pay rent, pay bills, pay yourself, which is also very critical. And that basically means your business halts or it's dead without cash flows. But don't worry, we will see how to revive your business in other pulse checks. But just to dwell a little bit on the pulse, quick tips to ensure your cash flow is okay. Let me just use those words. You need to always be on a cash positive. What do I mean by that? At the end of the month, when you're doing your books, what comes in, what goes out, the balance should always be a positive. Why? That is an indication of your business generating margins or generating revenues. There's something left. So you're not at a point where what you sell, what you're spending is at zero. So all the time, a business should aim at being on cash positive. What came in the day, what you're spending, and what is left in the evening is what you need to check. If daily is too much, do weekly checks. Check all your revenues for the week, compare with the expenses for the week, and see if you're on cash positive. So one other thing that will help you with a positive pulse is having clear budgets and projections. Why is that important? It's because a budget shows or gives prospects of what you're expecting. For clients who have recurrent revenues, you will need to project that very clearly on your cash flow budgets and projections. All your expenses need to be also showing very clearly. As you're doing your budgets, you can either have a positive or negative, and this is where strategy in business comes in. If your budget shows a minus, you need to either, one, work on the expenses and focus on the expenses that are really important for that month. They're those basics. The second thing is work on your sales. Figure out how you can improve your sales to cover your expenses. Unfortunately, I call that survival, but for you to thrive, your sales, your margins need to be right. Your expenses need to be covered by the margins that comes from sales minus cost of goods sold. That plus that is left there, that is what takes care of your operational expenses. So we can learn more on how to do budgets and projections for your business in the Clarity That Leads Academy. The second vital sign I want to talk about is the Lifeline. With Lifeline comes the breath. Let me start with the Lifeline first, which is customer and market focus. In my previous series, I often talk about having your target market clear. Do you know who is your target market? What need are you feeling for that particular client? What is it that your client needs? It even goes far to who is your client and how am I filling in that need? Without a clear target market client, you cannot have a market focus. You'll be moving everywhere without direction. So Lifeline, with the right customers, right market, that gives you a lifeline. Without clients, without a market, who are you selling to? With that said, there's another aspect. You will get the clients fine, you'll have the market fine, but there's one killer. You can either have a good breath or a bad breath. Picture this, a bad customer experience is a bad breath. What do you do with a bad breath? You need to see a dentist and fix that. So it's the same way with business. Bad customer experience kills your business and kills your pulse. Good breath, which is good customer experience, get your clients coming to you every day, and you're going to get referrals and consistency in your cash flows, the pulse. The third most important bit, you can have all this right, but without the muscle. The muscle is what puts everything together. The muscle lifts, the muscle moves things. And in this concept or context, the muscle is the operational efficiency. We may get this right, but how are your systems? How are your structures which directly contribute to the customer experience? Do you have SOPs? Do you have the right systems that are creating good operational efficiency, which has a direct contribution to customer experience? How is your invoicing? How is your order? How are your orders received? What is your process from start to the end, to when your client leaves your office or when your client makes payment for your orders? Operational efficiency. I want us to go to the brain. Without a brain, you don't have direction. You can have a pulse, you can have breath, you still have the muscle, but without the brain, which is in this context is a strategic direction, you are not able to tell whether you need to move to the left or to the right, front, back. Without strategic direction for your business, you don't have a path. What is strategic direction? It's clearly knowing what your vision is, what your mission is, and what your core values are. We then build onto the goals, because when you go to work, there are those goals that you want to achieve. We'll be speaking more about goals in the episodes that will be coming up. However, in a nutshell, strategic direction includes a vision. A vision gives a projection of what the future is about. A mission gives a purpose. Why do we come to work every day? What is the reason, or why does this business exist? Core values gives or states who we are. What do you stand for? Integrity, transparency, efficiency. That is what you translate even to your team, that they should be able to abide by the core values for us to achieve all this. Remember, you're still talking about the business health check. In business context, what is the bone? Leadership and governance. Leadership holds the business. They give direction and they are actually strategy drivers. So without a proper leadership and governance, just like a body without bones, the business will collapse. Without proper leadership and governance, a business collapse. I would give this with a common saying that we like saying here in Kenya. That business failed because it had bad management. It's not words that come from the air. It's actually a true story that without proper management and governance, a business will fail. That's why you'll see Kenyans saying that business failed because of poor management. Even the person who doesn't know what poor management is will always be saying that church, that business, that organization failed because the management was bad, the leadership was bad. So the same case, without the bones, your business is going to collapse. The same case, without bones in our body, our business will collapse. Let's look at the soul. What is the soul? The soul gives life to a business. Whether it's automated or not, you still need people. And with people comes culture. The soul gives life. With a good team that is aligned and is driving the strategy of your business, achieving the goals, aligning to the core values, they understand the mission, they understand the future, which is a vision. A good business should be able to know how to treat, recruit, and maintain their team. It's one thing to have a team with a good culture, and it's another to have a team but with bad culture. What is bad culture? Ever gone to a place, a restaurant, a hotel, and there's terrible customer experience? The waiters or the people serving you are just rude. They don't know how to speak to clients. They have no skills at all to even do what they're supposed to be doing. That is driven by culture. Culture comes from the values that you set and a strategic direction. That is why you can never do without the brain, the strategic direction. How often do you train your team? Sometimes it could be they don't know what they need to do or they don't have the right skill. Yet we are pushing our staff or our teams to do something that they really have no idea and no one is training or mentoring them. So how do you improve culture? We will get to know that in the episodes that will be coming. But in a brief, culture is cultivated, culture is built. Remember, we come from different places, different spectrums in life. We are different levels in life. Culture has to be built. So the key important thing in culture and with people is to maintain a positive attitude in your business. How you address your team as leadership, the bones. If you're mean and rude to your team, they will pick the same energy and pass it on to your clients. What does that mean? Your lifeline is going to be affected. Your customer experience, the breath, is going to be a bad breath. So leadership plays a very big role in culture. Let's talk about the voice. The voice amplifies who you are. Soprano, bass, all those. It helps you articulate who you are. But in this context, the voice is the sales and marketing. Actually, I like starting with marketing, then sales. What does that mean? For you to sell, you need to have marketing strategy to have a funnel that leads to sales, then for you to be able to generate revenue. The voice. How are you marketing? Strategies. What do you want to achieve? The sales from the marketing initiatives and what you do give you the pulse, which is the revenues that you generate from the sales, which is the cash flow you need for your financial health, for the pulse. With marketing, targeting the right customer and market focus, you are able to still bring in or have the pulse for your organization. With marketing and sales, you need the muscle to be able to implement what you're selling on this other side. Without people and the right culture, the life, the soul, you're not able to give out the right voice or sell and market your business. So let's look at the interconnection with all this. This is a whole body structure that you can do without any of this. So with this simple concept, let's have a proper and clear business health check for your business. And if you'd want to talk to us to help you with your business health check, please feel free to get in touch with us on the contacts below. See you on episode 2 of Clarity in Business Strategy and Growth.